I want to continue to go over the crib and how I believe it is criminal neglect on what my daughter and Jesse Halter did. For those of you on TikTok that think that my driving over to their location to make sure my grandbabies were safe, you have to understand where I'm coming from. I had just realized that my daughter had lied to me and that what I thought was just bad parenting was actual child abuse. Okay? So I was actually trying to beg them to acknowledge their wrongs, but because they could not, I went to their families and on Jesse's side, and they covered for him, told him what to say at first, that's all coming to light. Then I went to the local authorities who basically said, there's nothing we can do because the danger is over because they moved out. And that is what I'm looking to change. I want to cover some things. I am guilty of ignorance. I am guilty of letting common sense just go to the wayside. But that's because I believe the good in my daughter. My daughter told me she researched. When my granddaughter started climbing out of her crib, she said she researched. They started by making the bedtime a little shorter. She started by energizing them a little bit more. But after a while, Sophia continued to climb out of her crib once they returned to what Jesse required of a 6:30 p.m. to no earlier than 8 a.m. having them get out, even though they were up till about 9 p.m. at night, and sometimes from at least 6 in the morning to whenever Danny got her lazy ass up out of bed, okay? Once again, I just thought that was bad parenting. I stayed out of it. That's why we got here. So all y'all that's thinking that I'm this toxic in-law, oh, I am now. I am controlling now, but I absolutely zipped my lips and just said a prayer and was like, they don't parent like me. So it just is what it is. Except once they moved out and some things were coming to light on how it was like how delusional he was sounding about just everyday things that I talk about, that everybody wants to call me as just I'm the problem. No, I was explaining why we got here. But that's okay. I'm good with judging. Judge me, but help me is what I've always been saying. But I want to make sure everybody is educated. I went to my daughter when it all went down and they built that stupid thing, and I said something about moving to taller beds. Jesse, not so politely, told me to butt out. Then I said something to my daughter about how in November, this coming November, when they're supposed to be in Atlanta, we're going to be watching the babies for 4 days, though I was called a bad grandma. But nonetheless, we were going to be watching the twins for 4 days. I said to her, when Jesse wasn't around, so I thought, he's always there, I said to her, hey, when you guys are there, we could then use that time to transition them to the taller beds. Jesse huffs his big fat ass out of his room, because that's where he does, where he just barks his orders at his wife, and said, that won't be happening. Those are my kids. We'll have to have separate rooms before they're ever switching to taller beds. I retreated back to my office where I live, basically. As it continued, I even brought up something about a baby monitor, and my daughter said no. Okay, the whole time she had led me to believe she did research. I know she did. And that is what I've asked the authorities to go after, because anybody who thinks that that crib is okay is part of the problem and exactly why I'm as loud as I can be. I am reminding everybody, including myself, to do better. And if common sense on something isn't right, get involved. Thank you.